And we are back for another episode of IRC Book Club. What's this, Lauren? Episode 28? Wow, 28 weeks we've been at it.
Amazing.
One thing me and you aren't short of, Pricey, is sticking power.
Yes. Maybe sometimes to our detriment, but in this case, I am told by Lauren reliably that the user numbers keep going up.
Every week.
Nobody seems to like it on LinkedIn, but the user numbers do go up.
Yeah, before we start, do us a favour, everybody.
Come on, like it. Doesn't mean you're looking for a job and you're going to get fired.
Hit the like button, hit the share button, tell the world about it. It's worth it because it lets us know it's worth creating the content.
And it gives us a bit back. Come on, man.
Yeah, spread the love. So, this week we are on chapters 7, 8 and 9 of Sales Leadership by Keith Rosen. If you'd just like to take the book to the camera and show the viewers at home, for those watching on telly, on Tinterweb, you can see that's the book we're on. We've been having a fun time with this one, haven't we?
We have. I've got to say, though, come on, Keith, this was like a straight 10 for me. But on my bar chart, it's slipping a bit now.
Yeah, right.
I tell you what my measure is.
Are we in the doldrums of
I tell you what my measure is with these kind of things is I read the book, normally when my daughter is doing some taekwondo thing, and it's a good thing to do, and I'm getting into it, and then we come and do the book club, and then just before we do book club, I sit down and I look at my notes, and I think, I wonder what I put in my notes, and I'm putting less notes in it, and it's not because I'm not reading the book with any less fervour, it's because I'm making less notes, and I'm just thinking to myself, come on, Keith, it was an 8, not a 10 these last 3 chapters, I think, for me.
Yeah, I'm quite with you on that. So the 3 chapters are...
But they're definitely worth reading. They're definitely good. I'm not, for a minute, wouldn't say it wasn't, because it is, but come on.
Yeah, so the 3 chapters are entitled, Chapter 7 is Creating Unity, Trust and the Art of Enrolment. Chapter 8 is 7 Essential Enrolment Conversations that Create Company-Wide Alignment. And then Chapter 9 is Coach Tracks, Turn Difficult Situations into Coaching Wins. What have you enjoyed less about it?
I feel like, and you know what I'm like, I like to be told things once.
Yeah, all right.
Not twice.
Yeah, you can get a little bit irascible if told something repeatedly.
Yeah, and I feel like, yeah, I get it. You've told me that. I understand it. You're just telling me it again. But nonetheless, do I think it's correct in terms of what the guy says? He's 100% right. Absolutely 100% right.
And there is some good stuff in here.
Definitely, yeah, no doubt.
But if you've read picking at it like I do with a chicken.
If you've read the lead system, you will know that E stands for enrolment.
Yeah.
Listen, enroll.
Yeah.
So we've done enroll.
But there's a lot. But we're going deeper into enroll now, aren't we?
Yeah, and yeah, like I say, I can't knock Keith. We're going to go through some stuff, and he's right.
To be fair, we are going deeper into enrol, but as you know, on a number of shows, I've been really negative about a lot of writers who've written books where they haven't deep dived into the content.
Yeah.
And they've stayed at surface level because actually what they really want is for your boss to ring up and buy 20 grand's worth of training.
Yeah.
And actually, fair play to the author here.
You'd buy training off this guy as well.
A, I'd buy the training, but B, actually, I could pick up the book and I could use it as a manual.
Yes, it's a manual, yeah,
rather
100%.
than necessarily a surface level text that's written to sell me some training.
Exactly, and let's be clear, this chapter enrolment is about having a more detailed look into getting people enrolled.
Yeah, so let's
I
talk about
can't
it.
dispute that, really.
There's some really interesting bits, and some of it's obvious and some of it's not. People are motivated by what they want, not what you want.
Yeah, I mean, I underline that, obviously.
You know, I remember when I first churned my first entire sales team, and they all left by you.
Good choice, then.
Yeah, you made the right decision. But when I did, I remember being hauled over to Manchester, and the MD at the time, Peter Ingram, sit me down and saying, "What you've got to think about, Johnny, all the time is what's in it for them." And I think that's really, it was a key lesson. Is you sat with a colleague, what's in it for them? Where's their win? Where's their result, as Miller Hyman would say?
Yes, I agree, and he's absolutely right as a consequence of
Yeah,
that.
and there's a lot of talk about enrolment here, but for me, I wrote later on in my notes, we often talk about people being bought in. And you and I have often talked about red pill, blue pill.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, when our logo was blue, we used to talk
We
about
used to
swallowing
say,
the blue
has the
pill.
guy swallowed the blue pill or is he not?
And
I think a lot
because
of this is-
that's out the film actually. What film was it?
The Matrix.
Matrix. That was right. Yeah.
Yes. But I think a lot of what we're talking about here about enrolling somebody into being a coachee is actually more than that. I think it's about having somebody engaged in you, buying you as a leader. Mm-hmm. I think it's slightly subtly different. The whole "can I enroll you in coaching?" Actually, the real thing is, have they bought you as the leader?
See, that's a very interesting point, isn't it? Because in the early one in the book, Keith talks about good salespeople not necessarily making good leaders.
Yeah.
So then that takes you into the point of what do good salespeople buy from their leader?
Yeah, what are actually the buying criteria? Because let's get it right. I'm a great believer in most situations, most things are actually buying decisions. Hiring a salesperson is a buying decision, taking a job is a buying decision, and deciding to commit to a leader is a buying decision.
So how about this then as a real life, real time example? So I've just placed a sales manager to manage a team. You know who it is, obviously,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to mention their name or the company. What would have happened if the chief exec of that company said, "I tell you what, Mike, we want to make sure that when the new person joins us, that the sales team are enrolled to his or her processes. So as part of that enrollment process, the 6 people in the team, we're going to get those 6 people to interview the manager." It would have been bedlam.
Oh,
So
well,
at some point,
I've written later on in my notes, in my side notes, might is sometimes right.
I've written here, similarly, I've put, at some point, somebody's got to be in charge. And if you don't want to be enrolled, then you can bugger off.
Bad luck.
Yeah. Because I'm going to
Bad
enroll you.
luck.
Because Rosen, with his books, a bit left, actually, I think.
Bit-
Bit liberal.
I've noticed in these 3 chapters, I felt there were as a cultural. I almost wanted to say maybe this needs a rewrite for the UK audience.
Oh, do you reckon this is an American audience?
I just felt culturally, it's almost a little bit like, I felt like it needed localizing
Right, yeah, it's a fair comment, actually.
from some of the language. And that some of the language that's been written in some of the chapters we've got here as we dive further in during the show, I just thought, you'll not get away with that language over here. And my God, in the north of England, you'll get lynched.
Well, the people just ignore you and take the mickey out of you, won't they?
They'd all be they'd all just be on.
Have you heard about our new sales manager?
Have you heard what he said in the
nice
sales meeting? Have you heard what Ryan said to me? So I think some of it's great, but I did think some of it needed. It's almost like software that needs localizing because it's bloody good software.
one. Yes, I think that's very true.
It's fabulous software. It's as a methodology of working. I thought great, but I switched off a lot when I was reading it because I was thinking you just can't say that to a British salesman.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I hadn't thought about it like that, but I sort of stopped taking a lot of notes and I'm picking things out now to take notes of in this enrolment process. I mean, the next big, I don't know what page you're up to here.
So where are we? So I wrote. We're on.
I'm on page 122, he goes. It's not what they
Crikey,
wanted.
you've really skipped on.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
The bit where I wrote "might is right," if we go back to that, he's put here, manager, you all need to focus on inputting accurate information. We need about every customer into our
Oh, well,
CRM.
look, I put exactly the same thing. I put somebody needs to be in charge.
And I wrote, but sometimes might is right. Equally, we can get lazy and stop selling. I think I can sum the whole book up by saying that the people who work for you are customers and they buy from you and your blarney. And I think sometimes the easiest thing to remember is surely if you're a sales leader and you've got a team of 10 guys, they are customers. They buy your services off you. But every day you make a new sale.
They do, but let's look at some of the most successful software companies in the world where we have interviewed some of their salespeople. What would you say their person's relationship is like with their manager? Is it one of admiration and enrollment, or is it one of fear?
It's probably about 50-50, and there are some very,
I
very...
reckon it's 90-10.
Well, I
fear.
spoke to a client today who parted company with a sales leader we put into the business about a year ago.
Yes.
He was a very inspiring leader and very coaching focused and very well loved by his team. But the reality is the number didn't come in and he's now looking for a new job.
Correct.
Does that mean he's bad?
So
guy?
should
No.
so should he have said?
And at the time, that client's brief to me was that his focus was to hire a coach.
It's interesting because I play Satan.
That was the core brief. Was I've got good people here who have been badly led, but who will perform with a good coach, and I put a good coach in.
Yeah, I know you met the brief. I remember it because you beat one of my candidates.
But the
Who was
guy,
much more forceful as a man.
but the guy in the end didn't quite last the course.
Exactly. But I did, just to go back to your point, I did go back to that. And I mean, you know, Rosen says some great things. There's no such thing as a difficult conversation. You're right. Stop creating things that aren't there. You're right.
Let's talk about this bit here about confrontation. So there's part of the thing about there's no such thing as a difficult conversation, dealing with an underperformer and all that. And the quote that I came to here is managers and salespeople continually experience the fight or flight syndrome when faced with conflict or challenging situations like the ones mentioned. So there's some examples here around alternative ways of thinking around certain difficult questions, like dealing with underperformer, performance reviews, compensation changes, changing policy internally, and these are all things that sales leaders
They're
face.
real life things. Because let's get it right. In fairness to Rosen, this is very software centric,
You know,
isn't it?
strained into personal relationships between team members, especially if someone wronged the other person. You know, we had a guy work for us who was a bully.
We nearly had a fight once.
Well, he was a bully, and there was a moment where actually he was physically intimidating a colleague in the office.
It's a shame it wasn't a fight. It was close.
Yeah, because the bully, I think, would have lost, actually.
Oh, without a doubt. I think the guy that he was bullying was just sort of not rising to it.
He kept his shit together, didn't he?
Yeah, he would have won in the fight, I
It's
think.
a shame. I think the bully would have actually. So, you know, you see
Internal policy change, compensation change. Let's get it right. How many CVs are we going to get from some of the big corporates who change accounts at the end of March?
what SAP season?
Yeah, well, SAP CA season, yeah, 100%.
SAP season.
Yeah, well, that's there, isn't it? And in fairness to Rosen,
And these are all
Rosen
tough
is saying,
conversations.
he's saying, listen, Jonathan, I'm your manager. I've just moved your accounts from X to Y. How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Great.
And he's
absolutely
and what
right.
he's saying is these aren't difficult conversations. The difficulty is in your mind,
Yes.
in many respects. You know, quote unquote, rather than approach these conversations like a charging rhinoceros or sticking your head in the sand to avoid them, hoping these problems magically disappear. What if the real conflict was all conjured up in your mind? And he talks about not creating things that aren't there, which is a little bit like having a difficult conversation with a customer, isn't it? Sometimes you create the objection because you're nervous about the objection, and therefore you project the objection onto the client. That's all very subtle psychology stuff.
True, though.
But you can transfer an objection into a customer because you're so
Well,
nervous
Keith
about it.
calls it a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. And he's saying it's not the other person's responsibility to communicate the way you like to communicate. The best leaders align their communication style with the way other people like to communicate. Too right. Fair enough. So difficult conversations as a self-fulfilling prophecy. I thought that's some really interesting points around that. And then I like this. What I want for you is in the steps to enrolment. So he goes on page 120, 6 steps of enrolment.
Yeah.
Step 1 is
I underline that. What I want for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Step 2, what I want for you. And I'm sort of with that. I'm not quite sure I'd precisely use that linguistically.
Well, I put on the next page, actually, I put, this is a nice structure,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure it'd actually work in the real world. Because I just think to myself, in the real world, whilst he's trying to be nice and enrol people and all the rest, I want this, I want the other. I think at some point you just deliver the message and say, listen, I'm changing your accounts, full stop, that's it.
What, in a difficult conversation?
Yeah, I think so.
What about enrolling somebody into just general coaching, which is, I think, what he's getting at.
Do you reckon? Fair
Yeah,
enough.
absolutely. So there's a bit here where he wants to enrol a coachee, and he says, during the last customer meeting we had together, I noticed a few things in terms of how you were engaging with the customer and the discovery questions you used that I'd like to discuss with you, which I believe is the cause of the dip in performance. I wrote here, if we're really coaching, would we not ask a question like, how was that last meeting we did together?
Well, that's not what Keith would do.
But surely that's more coachy. Here, actually, I feel like we're into...
That's a different thing, though, because
I read
that's...
that as being a bit chief problem solvery.
I didn't read
Whereas
that.
as a coach, I would say, so we went to that meeting the other week, didn't we? Yeah. What do you make of it? Because I'd want my guy to say to me, I'd want to know, firstly, did he think he's done well or badly?
Well,
Secondly,
that's a
maybe that's
different
me
framework to Keith,
being
isn't
me
it?
manipulative. But what I want him to say is, I wasn't that happy about it. Oh, how so?
Or he was that happy. So you see, but you're talking
Correct.
about gauging
'Cause
where
I
he's
want
at.
to- correct, because I want to see, where is there a gap or a discrepancy between where
Yeah,
he is
yeah,
and where
yeah.
he wants to
That's
be.
not what Keith wants to do, though.
And then at some point, if he says, I thought it sucked, you go, all right, go on. And then at that point, he says, well, I lost the client. Okay, how do you feel about that? Get him talking about it, and then I can enroll him, can't I?
Yes, I mean that's a bit more spin-based, isn't it?
I want him to admit pain, but maybe
Yes.
that's the pain-driven
That's
salesman.
that's the spin side of it. And what do you make of this then? It's what they want, not what you want. I put, don't agree with that. I put, yes, I'm in charge and I want you to hit £1 million target.
I'm in charge.
Which what you want? What do you want? I'll tell you what I want. I want a really nice, easy life. I want an 80k basic, 160
I think I wrote
OT,
something like
but
that.
but about 120 will do. But I don't want to get shit for being 50% target. That's what I want, Keith. Well, I don't care. I want you to hit your target.
Yeah,
What I want for you is to still have a job by the end of the quarter. I just thought, and it's because I know Keith's going to come on the show, and I don't want to think I'm being negative about it because I do think the guy's right. But I've said it a few times now. I just think, oh come on, at some point somebody's got to be in charge.
I agree, but actually, I also agree with what Keith's saying here, which is getting people to buy into your coaching and to buying into that process. If it's about what you want, they will switch off. People will just think, here comes my dickhead manager again.
So how do we hire people then?
What do you mean?
So you've got to hire loads of people who all want the same thing.
No, what you have to accept is that you've got to understand and that's what the point of as the resultant chapters go on is you've got to make sure you really understand the people that work for you at a decent, detailed level.
maybe.
And what's driving them at both a personal desires and values level. If you do that, then you can tune into what their needs are and you can enroll them in coaching. Whereas sometimes it's very easy, and it's pointed out later in the book, to assume that some salespeople, and I think we've done it in the past, it's easy to assume all salespeople are coin operated,
Yes, I tell you what amazes me
and I think
is
actually
how
it's quite,
few are.
it's quite a small percentage of the population.
There's very few are. You ask a candidate what they're looking for, they say money. You think that's not right.
No, it's presenting objection is never the presenting objection.
It's just never the case. Now there are a few, to be clear.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
actually a lot of them, if you really chunk it up, all right, what does money do for you? Well, money buys me freedom. Go on, what does freedom do for you? Well, I feel really constrained in my role at the moment because I can't. And before you know it, actually, what the candidate's really telling you is that he wants to work at home.
yes, but
There's
you've got to
often
be.
so much more
So
to
I tell you
it.
now, you've got to be careful with that because we're getting into a slight side issue here.
Yeah, we're tangentializing.
Maybe we'll get really drunk and have a whine about some people that we know on one of the shows. Christmas. Or drink a bottle of brandy, just halve it.
Christmas rant.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What, like something off Trading Places? We should sit here in Santa suits.
Good idea.
What's that? Where were the two guys in Trading Places? I'll look it up.
Uh,
Winthrop and
Oh, I can't. I was
Eddie
thinking Eddie
Murphy.
Murphy and was it Dan Aykroyd?
yes, that's what we should do.
You reckon?
Something like that. A Christmas sort of group.
That was a good film. That.
Love that movie. So, coaching versus enrollment, the difference and the synergy. And I thought there's some really good stuff here. And I like the distinction table he's done here between the relationship between coaching and
I'm on it.
enrollment.
Yeah, I'm on it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Liked it. I'm in. And then whether coaching or enrolling, regardless of whose agenda it is, always honour the ABCs. Always be coaching. The only difference between coaches coming to you with an agenda and you going to them with your agenda is when enrolling someone, your coaching begins after you've enrolled them. Just move the E to begin the conversation. Great.
Yes, I mean he's absolutely right, Keith, and he has got a good framework.
He says here, I still attest the most challenging thing for a manager, salesperson, and every human being to do every day, especially when delivering effective, authentic coaching, is to detach from the outcome during a conversation in order to create a new possibility. Okay, I kind of get that and having that detachment. I actually also think, for me, I think it's one of the hardest things in coaching is legacy.
Go on. What their legacy or the company's
I
legacy?
look back in my own career at people that I've worked with where you get to a point where you've worked with them for a long time. How do you enroll somebody you've worked with for 10 years? How do you walk?
Well, you
into
look at
a
the top.
room?
It's interesting because the top sports people change coaches.
Yes, they do. My daughter, who is a very good singer, her singing teacher said to her 2 years ago, "You and I'll only probably work together for 18 months. You'll get what you need from me, and then you and I will both be ready to move on because you'll need somebody else to bring something new and fresh to you." And, you know, she sings at a pretty elite level, and I think elite level performers, I think a coach has a shelf life.
Yeah, yeah.
Leeds
Well,
Rhinos, we nearly got relegated last season. Why? Because the coach had been there too long, and the players got used to him, and standards started to drop, and people stopped learning and developing. So, for me, I think probably the hardest coaching situation, or an enrolment conversation, is how do you enrol a guy that you've worked with for 7 years, that comes to your house at the weekend?
but this is the dichotomy that you are too close to.
You're then too close, aren't you?
You're too close to them, and I think sometimes if you know
And this
too
is
much
the
about
point you're
people,
making,
yeah,
which is somebody's got to be in charge and somebody's got to be the employee,
correct.
and somebody has to be.
I don't want you to come around my house.
We're not friends.
We're not friends. Well, how often have I said that to people who have worked here? They don't work here anymore. But you know, and I didn't mean it out of meanness.
No, and
'Cause actually the people
need
that
to
have
understand the context.
Yeah, because the people that have left, I still talk to them now.
yeah,
You know, the fella that you've fallen out with a little bit, I haven't fallen out with him. He lives quite close to me. I see him in the park. We have a bit of banter. You know, he had a gilet on. I was taking the mickey out of him. You know, I'm more friendly with him now than ever. But I just think sometimes it's just somebody's got to be in charge. Does the army general go out and drink with the privates? No. No.
Armies
no.
are usually fairly efficient organisations. Do they coach?
No, they tell.
They give orders.
And actually, if the person doesn't follow the order, then they get rid of him.
Or court-martialed.
Well, I don't know how it works
They
actually.
go to prison.
Well, I didn't know that.
They go to prison for not doing
and,
this.
and that, and I sort of feel like I'm living in the 80s really, with my 80s attitude, reading Keith's book, thinking this is all great and everything, Keith. It really is great, but I can honestly say, hand on heart, of 18 years of being an IT sales recruiter, I don't know one manager that I have ever met who has been anywhere near this. And I think to myself, would they be better if they were?
What if they were? I think what's bothering you is the manner of with which the author is recommending you enroll people into a coaching relationship.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Because actually I know some very good coaching sales leaders. We know loads.
Do you reckon?
Yes, who are good coaches of other salespeople. I think we also know some abysmal ones, and I would actually say the proportion of naturally, well, firstly, I don't think that many clients actually want to hire a coach.
What, when they're recruiting a sales leader from us?
I think if we did a straw poll, you know, you and I target what companies with between 1 and 15 salespeople, 5 to 120 million turnover is typically our core positioning point. If we did a straw poll of managing directors and CEOs in that space, and said, if you were to recruit a salesperson tomorrow, what's your core criteria? I don't think they'd say I want a top quality coach who's going to get the best out of the sales team. I actually don't think that would be at the top of the criteria list.
But do you think that's because the presenting problem's never the presenting problem? Do you think that if you made them read this book and then said, right, brief me before you brief me, read this book, do you think it would change their brief?
Of course it would, yes. I think a lot of CEOs would then say, I need a top quality coach that's going to get the best out of the existing team I've got.
Right, here's
And
what I
then
do.
work-
Next person who briefs me for a sales leader, I'm going to buy this book for them.
And then say, brief me now, and then I want you to brief me again in a week and a half and tell me what you think.
Yeah.
All right, agreed. I
what
think
I'll do.
you'll get a big sea change in thought process, because people will go, holy shit, I never thought actually somebody might actually come along and get more out of the existing team.
Because one of the people, I can't remember exactly his
What they
name. or
usually
anything.
want is somebody to shuffle the deck chairs.
What they want is somebody to get some results. And they'll say, and by the way, I don't care how you get it.
Yes.
I don't care what you do.
Well, how many chairmen in football are sat there thinking, I haven't got much money, I just need a manager that's going to get the best out of the lot I've got? Not many. Leeds United's chairman's the only one who's done it in 4 leagues?
I don't know.
Where
what
he's
you're
sat there
talking
thinking, I can't spend much money. How do I find a fella here who can turn who can turn base metals into gold.
Anyway, listen, we're running over on this
alchemists.
chapter.
Yeah,
We're
we are.
actually not even through this chapter yet, and we've been going for a while here.
Okay, so let's move on to chapter 8. 7 essential enrollment conversations that create company.
I do what I put. So what I do with all my chapters is I put a summary of the chapter once I've read it, and I think there's a nice process in here with some very good questions to uncover needs. It would feel conceited to me, and I'm not sure how well it would go down, is what I've put.
Yeah, there's bits. So the first bit, prepare your people for change. And I'll quote it. Keith, when I go back to my team tomorrow, where do I start in terms of introducing coaching as this new way of working together and how my style of management is going to change for the better? This is always the question on every manager's mind at the end of participating in my leadership coaching program. Bang right, Keith. That's the thing Mike and I are nervous about. And I've written here, you know, I think what every manager is nervous of is the mindset of the sales guys going, here comes the boss with his latest thing. Here he comes. He's been on some course and now he's going to make a load of changes. And then next quarter he'll go on another course and he's going to make a load of changes. It'll be about CRM next quarter. And I don't know, maybe it's the culture here, but sales guys are cynical. And I actually wrote here, how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you prepare for positive change?
And then,
I wrote here,
and then there's a gigantic email.
yeah, and I wrote here, I hate that.
I mean, and I put, it's a nice email, but it's very long. And if somebody sent that to me, I would be so cynical of it. I'd think, oh, whatever.
Do you know,
I'd sign out to enrolment before I
once had a client, and I remember once having a terrible ethical dilemma with this particular client and a candidate. And I'm not going to go into the whole story of it. And I rang the client, and I've known this client for a long time, and he'd known me a while, you know, and he got to know me a bit, and he's a lovely fella. And I said, what do I do? I don't know what to do.
I know who the client is now. Can remember you two? I think we're talking 2003.
I said, I just don't know what to do. This is a real problem now. What am I going to do? And he said, Johnny, you're going to TTT.
I remember it, yeah.
And I went, what's TTT? And he said, tell the truth.
Yeah.
And I think actually, this is all really nice, but I think actually the easiest way around it is to tell the truth. Hey guys, I've been on a course. It's all about coaching.
100% right.
I've been on a course. It's all about coaching. I learned a lot. I really want to try it. It'd really be great if you give me a hand with it.
I think it might work.
I think it might work, and I'm really bang on committed to giving it a go.
I think we might sell a bit more.
I think actually we might all sell a bit more, and actually I think that everybody might grow a bit as a salesperson if I let you guys think a little bit more about how you want to grow, and we can all really move this forward. Anybody up for it? Yeah, I'm up for it. Right, okay. I'm going to put some time in everybody's diary, and I'm going to try and really stick to it. And I want you guys to hold me accountable for doing it. Is that all right? Yeah, great.
I'm 100%. That should have been the email,
Yeah,
not this massive one.
yeah. Or an individual call of, listen, mate. Oh, how was your course, boss? It was brilliant. I was wondering if I could talk to you about it, actually. Yeah.
What about? I'm truly excited about the new standards we're setting in our company. As our company grows, it's critical that each member of the team make a conscious choice to grow with us. I just
You'd
thought.
lose a lot of people. You'd just.
Now I know I'm on the very end of the spectrum in terms of my cynicism, but a lot of candidates a lot of salespeople are quite close to me.
A lot of the guys we deal with would crucify a manager for that.
They just leave.
They'd crucify that email. They'd be forwarding it to each other and they'd be really pasting it. But I think he's right.
The sentiment's great. The delivery's awful.
The sentiment of sit down and think about how are you actually going to enroll people? What are you going to say? That's the real message is.
Yeah.
I don't like the prescriptive scripting, but actually the message of
It's funny because I like a lot of his scripting actually.
yeah beforehand, but in these chapters I haven't enjoyed it. So I think what the real message is, sit down and have a think. How are you going to do it? What are you going to say?
I mean, the next one.
What are you going to say and what's the benefit to them?
I feel like I've let you down.
Whoa.
For that, please accept my apology.
Whoa.
I mean, you know what I'm going to say about it. I put here, I just think I've found a better way. I don't like self-deprecation, full stop,
I
actually.
think I've let you down. That's just all very Lance Armstrong, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know much about
Yeah, I
Lance
cheated. I
Armstrong.
took steroids for 7 years. I'm terrible. It's too flagellatory for me.
This one. This is page 138. This is the third way of scheduling a one-to-one meeting. Do you have a few minutes now to discuss, or are you in the middle of something? Yeah, I'm busy washing my hair. But I'm knocking it and I'm pasting this a bit, Keith. But I've got to say, the sentiment itself is great. I just would, in
Actually,
the UK
yeah.
market, I'd just word that more
And that's my
differently.
point about localization. I think, you take some guy from Manchester.
Have I caught you in the middle of something? I think I've let you down. What?
You what?
The phone's gone.
Yeah.
He's not there
Well,
anymore.
the phone would still be there, but he'd just be sat there.
Whereas if you can phone up somebody and say, listen, I'm going to try something that I think might make our
Just be honest.
sales coaching better.
I've been on a course. Bloody hell, I loved it. Really? What was it about, boss?
And that's what I mean. It's at the start of the chapter. It's a beautiful process. I just don't think it would work,
Yeah,
really.
but I think the point, which is the real point of the chapter, and I think,
The point of the chapter's spot on.
yeah, which is think hard before you start enrolling people.
Spot on.
What you're going to say, what's your pitch?
Spot on. Absolutely spot on.
And actually, what perhaps it should really say is think hard, look at every member of your team, and then think what's the pitch. Because you're going to need a different pitch for each one.
Yes, I agree.
Then there was a bit here where, how would you define my role? So that this sort of
What page you on?
questionnaire, 139. What would you like to accomplish or ensure we cover during the coaching sessions? I like that. I thought
Yeah, I thought it was good, actually,
I
yeah.
thought they were really great questions, actually. And then coach up, schedule, and then what do you think about scheduling a one-on-one meeting with your manager? So our clients, our coaches, bringing up their MDs and saying, I want to schedule a one-on-one meeting to talk about how you're coaching me.
Yeah, good idea.
Do you think?
Why not? This is about this chapter is about getting it organisationally wide.
So how many of our MDs think that they... So,
I'd say RMD.
and to be fair, at the start of the book, there's a lot of talk about culture.
Yes, and
And
creating a
having
micro
And
culture.
having a coaching culture. But how many of the MDs... If you again did a straw poll of MDs that we work with,
Well, you talk about your example earlier. The MD that's let the sales manager go. Did he pay for a coach or did he pay for results? He hired a coach.
To
He
get
paid for results. Yeah, but he paid for results. He
Yeah.
didn't get the results, so he got rid of the coach.
correct?
I tell you what. I mean, I don't know who it is actually, but I think to myself, I bet if we took that job brief from that client now and said, "What's important to you?" I bet he wouldn't say a coach. I bet he'd hire a very different human being, and that human being would have longer claws than the last one and bigger teeth.
Well, I know exactly what he's hired. He's hired a really corporate spreadsheet, quarter-end driving manager.
I see. Right, there you go.
Yeah, a real stereotypical.
Alpha male
Yeah, that's what he's hired.
beast.
Yes, an angry, hard-driven alpha male
Yeah, absolutely.
who won't coach. He'll just
He'll just go right and paying you for results. Where's your number? Oh, you haven't done your number. Right, bye.
Well, he'll input a bit. You know,
God.
he might show up at a big deal, show his face.
Yeah, I think.
Show his face, take the glory.
Yeah, I think you're being polite.
But he's hired a very different animal.
But I like the point about the coaching questions. I absolutely thought was absolutely spot on. Then there's a bit about managing your manager, which I think is good. My boss isn't going to change, and if I want to keep my job, I'll have to tolerate this.
Do you know one question I really liked here? 142 on coaching up. Here are some questions you can use to manage a conversation. One of them was, outside of my job description, what are your expectations of me? I wonder how many sales leaders we place could ask that. So outside of the obvious of hitting the number, what else do you expect from me?
Yes, good question.
Be a great question to ask a client in an interview. And then I've written here, though, next to some of those questions, they could work, but they could be perceived as being a bit sycophantic and grovelly. I think, again, they'd need translating for the local audience.
Yeah, and like I say, this is why these chapters
But
are
they're great questions. How would you score me around coaching, efficiency, collaboration, brand? So in many respects, that's almost like doing a reverse review with your lead, a sales director going to a leader and almost saying, we're going to do a review today, and these are the questions I'm going to ask you.
Yeah,
You're going to review me on these things. What do you reckon? And actually, I think a lot of leaders would... Let's get it right. Where is the greatest level of turnover in the market? It's usually at leadership level. Leaders get beaten up fast.
yeah. Well, they're getting people are paying them for results.
It's like football, isn't it? Football
Yeah,
managers.
I agree.
Football clubs turn managers over.
But that's because chief execs get burnt quickly as well, don't they?
Yeah, people need results.
The
so
further
managers-
higher, the higher up the tree you go.
Yeah, people need results, so managers get blamed.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
how many managers actually could perhaps manage the criteria upon which they're assessed outside of the core basic revenue to the point at which it makes an impact on their ability to then actually make an impact on the revenue? So, i.e., look, we're getting there with the revenue, I'm coaching them, there's a steady improvement, you've got to hang in there.
Okay, I mean,
Just
I
a thought.
don't disagree with you.
And then there's a bit here that I've highlighted on page 145, which I put here. It is a really big point, and I'm
What's
just
that? The reality is that most managers
yes,
truly don't know what inspires and motivates each individual person to perform.
yeah, I think that's a really pivotal.
Salespeople are
point in the
often salespeople are coin operated and only motivated by money.
book. Yeah, clearly this story refuted assumption. Second thing,
And it was a story about somebody
Yeah.
getting a 5k bonus. It was top performance 5k bonus, wasn't it? And the top performer won the top performance 5k
but the top
bonus.
performer wasn't that bothered.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of clients don't realise how variable motivation levels are.
Well, here's your problem though. Let's say you took this book to SAP. Oh, what we're going to do is we're going to design a different incentive system for each one of our 200 salespeople,
2,000 salespeople.
2,000 salespeople. Now let's look at how each individual one wants to be coached, what they want to do in their coaching session. Let's send out a big questionnaire.
But in your little microculture, you could.
Yeah,
So
but
for
Keith's
example,
only
like-
saying create a microculture so it becomes a company culture.
Yeah, but sometimes you can't always create the company culture. And what he's also pointed out earlier on in the book is just create a microculture.
Yeah, but my
the
point
rest of
is,
the business.
so our point is, so let's say you work at SAP, for argument's sake, and you work for me, and I say, I'll tell you what, Jonathan, you're motivated by money, hit this incentive, I'm going to give you 5k. You go, brilliant, great,
I'm coin operating. I'm in.
I'm in. And then I say, all right, Lauren, so you work for me at SAP, it's unlikely, Lauren, I think, but you work for me at SAP, I'm going to give you 5k if you hit this number. And Lauren says, oh, I don't want 5k. I just want to be recognised as an award. I say, all right, I'll give you an award then. And then Jose, unlikely event, but works for us at SAP, and he says, no, I don't want money. I don't want an award. I want a day off.
Yeah,
And so I'll give you a day off then, Jose, because, you know, Jose, lots of bank holidays in the Philippines. At some point, there's got to be a one-size-fits-all rule.
No, I don't agree.
Why not?
Because what is the whole point of the book is you're a sales leader, you're in a middle management sales leadership gig, and you do work at SAP, and you are a leader of 8 guys in a team. What the point of the book is, it's your job as the leader to understand what makes each member of that team truly tick.
It is.
And just let me finish. And
This is like Jeremy thingy.
it's like Jeremy Kyle on a
Yeah,
Tuesday morning. And as a result of understanding what makes each one of those tick, is to not necessarily design an individual incentive, but to know that actually what drives them. So to know, okay, right, the sales incentive is paying $5,000 out this quarter. How do I get Pricey in? Because Pricey's not motivated by the money. Actually, the real thing for Pricey is recognition. And being smart enough
Couldn't have
to
got that more wrong, could you? But they...
correct. And being smart enough to know, right, he's driven by recognition. And then in the next coaching conversation I have with him, actually, rather than sat there like a dumbass moron going, yeah, you're going to get your $5,000, you're going to get your $5,000, with him sat there looking blankly at me, I'm sat there saying, do you know what? I think winning this prize could really make the stock in you go a bit higher.
That's great. You're right. But therein lies the impracticality of the book.
Why?
Because that's just not real life.
But it is real life. That's what a smart leader does. He understands his people, and he says,
Do you think that's what they do at SAP?
I think a good leader would do that.
Or do you think that's what they do at SAP?
Well, I don't know, because I've never worked at SAP, Michael.
No, but if you were going to guess, Jonathan, what would you... You know, we're guessing. We're just talking about it. Do
I-
you think they
I
do that at
think
SAP?
I
Or do you
reckon-
think they pay people in bags of cash
I
and they
reckon
hire people who
some
want to earn bags of
I
cash?
reckon there will be some sales leaders at SAP who are inspiring, fabulous managers of
And you think that's the majority or the minority?
minority.
And that's my point, because
But I
it's
think there
real
will
life.
be some sales leaders at SAP, at Oracle, anywhere, IBM, that are smart switch-on guys who think, this guy, I'm not going to talk to him about what he's going to win.
No, you are
I'm going to
right.
talk to
You-
him
you
about
obviously-
how potentially winning this deal could position him in the eyes of my boss, and how that might potentially help him really grow his stock in the company.
You are right, obviously. I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit, and we're taking a long time with these chapters, which is obviously a good sign, Keith.
Three chapters that we claimed we didn't enjoy.
Yeah, it's obviously a good sign, Keith, clearly.
Yeah.
But it's all a bit idealistic for me.
It is, but do you know what? If we had a raw consultant tomorrow, You know, I'm a great believer in learning from your mistakes and moving forward and being better the next day than you were the day before.
Okay.
You know, you're talking to a fellow that gets out of bed in the morning at 5 a.m. to practice the piano and meditate. I'm into self-improvement, right?
Yeah, I get it.
If we were running, if we tomorrow went out and hired a new business guy, I'd use this as a little Bible now.
And I
Because I like to think, I'm humble enough to think that irrespective of the fact that I'm into my 22nd year of management, I'm not convinced I've 100% cracked it. So I'd give it a go. What I wouldn't do is I don't think I'd use a lot of these scripts.
And if you couldn't get that person enrolled, what would you do then?
Then I'd see him off.
Okay. And so let's just take.
Which comes back to the might is right conversation.
Oh yeah, and also let's think about
I'd say, listen, you don't want to play.
and let's think about then the demographic. So it's likely that for our new business salesperson, they're going to be in their mid-20s purely by virtue of the
25,
fact
26.
that that's the sort of age that would want to do this job.
Yes.
Banging the phone, talking to sales directors.
Yeah.
I can't
Following
see
up on marketing.
I can't see a
campaigns.
40-year-old like me wanting to do that.
Nope.
I mean, I do, but I couldn't. So the millennials then.
Ooh, millennials.
Yeah. So how easy is it to enrol a millennial with this vast sort of movement of labour that seems to exist with the millennials?
But I think that's, for me, I think that's what millennials want.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, that's the whole issue, isn't it? That the millennials feel. Well, you've got two problems with millennials because we've hired plenty of them and we've fired plenty of them, haven't we?
Yes.
Is your millennial salesman often turns up thinking he knows it all and does have a sense of entitlement, which is notably, why am I not dealing with your most senior clients on your most senior
Yes.
projects 4 weeks into the job, you bastard?
That is true.
But equally, we've recruited plenty that are actually and have been very grateful for being taught, being coached, being trained, and being developed. So I think enrolling a millennial salesman.
Don't be that grateful because they don't work here anymore. Or is that because they might?
No, that's because
Or the market changed? Or?
Market changed, and also I think that we've often led with, listen, we'll coach you, but might is right, and if you ain't hitting your number, you're off.
Yeah, well, it's a moot point, isn't it? Are we also doing chapter 9 today?
Yes.
Right, we need to crack on with this.
So, action plans, really good. And then you've got that whole, I liked that thing here at the end of preparing your people for change about what your top priorities, motivators and values
Yes, I like that.
with the little word cloud.
Yeah.
I thought that was all right. I'm not necessarily sure I'd use the word cloud, but what I would ask is, and you know it's one of my favourite questions anyway, which is, what's important to you?
Yes, do you know I've put it here again?
What's important to you?
It's all getting a bit too liberal for me.
The other
you
thing
are
that-
in charge. It's not a. I've put here. It's not a democracy.
It's not a democracy. The other thing that I think is missing here, there's lots of talk about understanding the salesperson, but I think something that gets missed all the time is understanding the identity of the salesperson.
Yeah, I mean that's a completely separate question that we could spend an hour on.
Yes.
But you're absolutely right. If it was me, and if my clients paid me by the hour, and let's get it right, I've got the ear of a lot of good companies, and I know that they do listen to me, but they don't listen to me enough. Here's what they don't. Here's what you should do. Don't interview a candidate based on what they've sold or to whom they've sold it. Interview a candidate on their identity and how it matches your culture,
Yes.
and that's it.
Identity.
And how it matches the
How
company's
congruent
culture.
they are at an identity
If
level.
an identity level, they're right with the company's culture. It's interesting actually. A guy phoned me. Lauren heard it. And it's not happened for ages because we don't speak to candidates once we've placed them. So I placed the guy who started a week and a half ago, and he phoned me, and I thought, wow. Yeah. I said, all right. He said, you sound surprised to hear from me. I said, I am. He said, why? I said, because we don't speak to candidates once we've placed them because the clients think we're blooming headhunting them. He said, I just wanted to let you know it's brilliant here.
Love it. Always like those ones.
Yeah, and I said, why? And he said, because they're really like me, these people.
Right. Because
And I tell you what, I matched him on that basis because I knew that client.
And my point is understanding the identity of the guy that's in front of you in your team.
Yeah, exactly.
Because how many of them aren't salesmen?
Yes, but it's fine having a non-salesperson in a non-sales culture.
Or it's fine having a guy that doesn't see himself as a salesperson, but understanding that and understanding what he does see himself as, and working with that.
Well, let's look at it a different way. Let's look at it a different way. What's the difference between Mimecast and Serverlek? Mimecast, they're not
Sales
clients. Neither are clients, by the way.
Sales environment.
Mimecast, sales environment.
Sales environment.
Serverlek.
Boards on the wall. Boards on the wall. Who sold what? Incentives, prizes, sell.
Serverlek.
Not really a sales company. Just
That's the point, and that's the
engineering.
And that's the difference between the two parts. You can, one sells commercial, one sells health, whatever. That's irrelevant, really.
Yeah. So a coaching conversation is really going to happen at Serverlek? No.
Exactly. And that's my point about the real world application of it. Anyway, chapter 9.
Turning difficult situations into coaching.
Now, this is a
wins.
brilliant chapter, actually. This has gone back up for me, this, Keith.
Why?
Because this is real life.
All right. 26 questions that create unified, supportive relationships. I actually ticked and crossed on these. I actually went through them, put a tick by the ones I would buy, and a cross by the ones I wouldn't.
Well, do you know what? I started doing that. Then I put
I
at the end.
actually ticked most of them.
I quite like all of these, really.
Yeah. It's good. And there is a point here, conversation 2, inheriting an existing team, which I did think, I like the sentiment, but not, I wrote here, love the sentiment
Where are we
of the
now?
script, not the delivery. Because I think that's the hard bit.
Ah, yes. I put this is a really good section, this.
Yeah.
Really, really good section.
And then, page 156, questions that seek to understand people's point of view and how they want to be managed. And I wrote next to that, great. Just dead simple.
I put good, actually.
If you took over a team, if a manager did that, that would be useful stuff.
Well, they'd enroll the team straight off the bat.
But then on the next bit, I did write, this is making me nervous about appearing weak. And I think one of the things that we need to talk to Keith about when he comes on the show is our nervousness about appearing weak. And
is that our fault, though? Are we?
Is this me and you as leaders? Are we bad leaders because we're frightened?
Have we got too much machismo that it's not helping us?
Are we too great? I've been freaking out about my nervousness about appearing weak, having read this.
Yes. Thinking, well, I've never wanted to appear weak. Maybe I should have.
Maybe I need to be more humble. Should I be more humble? And I'll tell you what, if it's going to make me more successful,
you'll eat a humble pie, absolutely.
Get me a few years earlier to retirement. I'm in.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I liked he was going on about pips. And so basically he's talking about pips. He doesn't call them pips. He says don't call them pips, actually. And then
the pushing out plan.
Yeah. And basically he says...
And then the RIP, there's a rip and a pop.
The rest in peace plan,
I love that.
He's right though, Keith.
Plan.
And what Keith's saying here
that.
is saying, you phone your person and say you've got a turnaround plan, there's going to one or three things going to happen. One, they're going to leave, which is fine.
I'm in, I appreciate the support. Forget it. 4 weeks of this and then a pip, they leave on their own. Or this sounds like a pip, it smells like a pip, and it looks like a pip. But is this a pip?
But Keith's saying points 1 and 2 is great.
Yeah.
1, I'm in, that's great. 2, I'm off, great.
Yeah.
3, you caught me out. Because I tell you now, the pip thing, we see loads of that happening. Why are you recruiting? I've got something on pip. Right, great. Are they going to stay?
It's a perfect callback for that. As a salesperson of recruitment services, callbacks don't get better.
Because they just don't stay there. And people end up leaving, getting fired.
I would say 10%. 10% you actually ring and they go, well, actually, Johnny, I've turned him round.
Can I tell you, the best person at pips I've ever seen, or ever come across, I should say, and he should take this as a compliment, is Dean Carroll, the MD of Expedition.
Oh, really?
I can't remember when it was now, and I think it's quite a long time ago, actually.
Well,
he stands out in my mind so
people around.
Supportive.
But then he's not putting people on pips, is he?
He is, but he puts them on a pip to help them.
He's putting people on a 30-day strategy or a 60-day strategy.
Now, I mean, it's a long time ago, this, when he talked to you about it, but I can still remember it, which shows how rare it is. Whereas a lot of other clients, I've got something in a pip, Mike. Let's start going, because I want somebody to replace them when they've left.
Most pips are in reality
there's a HR process.
A HR process
so they don't get
to see
sued.
somebody off. Yeah.
100%, that's what they are.
Yeah, they're a HR process for an employee that's been there over 2 years that we can't just automatically fire. Absolutely, but I did like that, the whole 30-day turnaround strategy. I did make a note, which was maybe coaching salespeople into champions could actually warrant a return visit of Keith Rosen, because that did make me want to read that book.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. So A lot of that chapter we could paraphrase and we can talk about. To cut a long story short, I think listeners, viewers, friends, you need to actually pick up the book and read it, because there's a lot of quite lengthy scripting of detail.
There is, but I think we've paraphrased it fairly well, really.
so, yeah.
You know, I don't think that's too off the mark.
Yeah.
My only point about that is that scores a 9 out of me, not a 10, because I just think that Keith should have put a structure of a 30-day turnaround in there.
Bit more detail on that.
I
actual
thought,
structure.
because his lead structure, I like anybody that's got a structure. The Wolf of Wall Street, whoever it is, I don't care.
Yeah,
I like a structure
You
that
like
you can
a
follow.
nice model with arrows.
Yeah,
on it, don't you?
yeah, 100% I do. And I felt like Keith's so good at putting models in there, he should have put a model in there.
Yes, and maybe there is one in the other book.
Possibly, yeah, possibly.
Maybe there's a deeper one. So that's been a good episode. I think we've been talking for a while here. How long have we been talking, Lauren? 50-minute show this week.
I know. I tried to.
It went by like a flash.
Yeah, well, it's good to have a little bit of conflict in it as well.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is we weren't that excited about the 3 chapters we've read, but actually I've still really enjoyed them and found some really useful content.
Oh, let's be clear,
My only
it's a
complaint
good
is the need
book.
for localization.
I don't know when it's out on Amazon, but I would definitely write a review
It's
on
out.
it.
It's because Amazon is short of copies.
Oh, is that what it is? Well, it's a definite purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I use an electronic copy. I bought mine on Hive. You can get it on Amazon as Kindle. Go do. It is a good book. Follow along, read along. And if you're still here and you're still listening, at the end of the show, do us a favour, smash the like button or hit share on LinkedIn. That would be brilliant and really help us along. Let us know that it's worth creating the content. We'll see you all next week. And then after that, Keith's on the show.
Oh, brilliant.
How
Look forward to
exciting.
it.
I'm really looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah, me too, 100%.
We've got to sort out a few technicalities, but it should be really good. Thank you very much, everybody. See ya.